Hello students, today our topic is uses of ammonium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide. This is mainly the part of analytical chemistry. Analytical chemistry is a special branch of chemistry which mainly deals with analysis. Now what is analysis? Analysis actually means determination of different chemical compounds in a given sample. Say a particular sample solution, that is a solution that contains different metal ions is given to you. Then you have to determine the positive ions, that is the metal ions present in that solution, and also the negative ions or the anions present in that solution. Through different procedures, this is called analysis. Now this analysis may be of two types. One is qualitative analysis and the another one is quantitative analysis. Now what is qualitative analysis? Qualitative analysis mainly deals with identification of different chemical components, and that is when a particular sample solution is given, you have to determine or identify the chemical components or the ions present in that solution, that is qualitative. And quantitative analysis that deals with quantity of different chemical components. Quantity means how much amount of different chemical components are present in that sample, that is composition of the given sample. Say I am giving you a solution which contains ferrous ion and chromium ion. Now you have to first determine the ions present in that solution, that is called qualitative analysis. You determine ferrous ion and chromium ions that are present in that solution, that is qualitative analysis. And you also determine the amount of the ferrous ion and the amount of chromium ion. Say you obtain 30% ferrous ion and 70% chromium ion, that is the composition of the sample solution is determined. This is called quantitative analysis. Now reagent. Reagent is the special type of compound which is used for the analysis purpose. How we can analyze these ions? For this purpose we have to use reagent. Reagent is a particular chemical compound which can combine with other chemical compounds. For example, say I am giving you a solution, sample solution which contains ferrous ion, that is ferrous sulfate, and this ferrous sulfate solution is pale green solution. Now you have to determine the ferrous ion that is unknown to you. You have to determine this ferrous ion in that given sample solution. For this purpose you are using here sodium hydroxide solution or caustic soda solution. After reaction here, ferrous hydroxide will be formed, and this ferrous hydroxide is insoluble, so you will get dirty green precipitate of ferrous hydroxide. Precipitate means insoluble compound, and the color is dirty green. This is the very specific color of ferrous hydroxide. So from this color of the precipitate you can identify it as ferrous hydroxide. And there will be formation of sodium sulfate which is soluble in solution, and this is colorless. Thus from this dirty green precipitate you can identify the particular ion present in that sample solution is ferrous ion. So here sodium hydroxide is used to identify analyze the iron, ferrous ion. So here sodium hydroxide acts as reagent. In most of the cases in chemical laboratory, alkali is used as reagent because alkali has those components, these are bases and contain hydroxide ions. So when alkali are added to the metal solution, for most of the cases they react with the metal and form metal hydroxides, as alkali contains hydroxides. These metal hydroxides, for most of the cases, mainly for transition metal ions, these metal hydroxides are colored and they are insoluble. So from the specific colors of the hydroxides, we can identify the metal ions. Here mainly we will discuss about the sodium hydroxide and ammonium hydroxide as reagents. When the alkali are used as reagents, we have to add these alkalis in drop wise fashion to the metal solution, because if we add all the alkalis at a time, then there will be formation. Then in some cases the precipitate form may be missed, because from some cases there will be, after formation of precipitate, if you add excess of alkali, this precipitate becomes soluble in presence of excess alkali. So the precipitate formation may be missed. So you have to add drop wise these alkalis for the analysis purpose. When you will use these alkalis, you have to add these alkalis in dropwise fashion to the metal solution. Here I am showing you for different metal ions behavior of sodium hydroxide and ammonium hydroxide. The behavior of sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide as reagent almost same, because they both are strong alkali. Whereas there is difference in behavior of sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide and ammonium hydroxide, because ammonium hydroxide is weak alkali, so the number of hydroxide ions produced from ammonium hydroxide is less than sodium or potassium hydroxide. First we take the calcium ion. If you use a solution containing calcium ion is colorless. This is colorless, and to this solution, if you add sodium caustic soda solution drop wise, then there will be formation of white precipitate of calcium hydroxide. You will get the white insoluble salt and sodium nitrate. This is colorless soluble. So from this white precipitation you can identify the calcium ion. Whereas if you add to the calcium solution ammonium hydroxide solution, then there will be no reaction, because as ammonium hydroxide is weak alkali, so the number of hydroxide ions produced will be less, and this insufficient number of hydroxide ions cannot precipitate calcium ion as calcium hydroxide. So for ammonium hydroxide there will be no reaction. Number 2 is ferrous ion. Ferrous ion solution is mainly green color, pale green color, and to this plain green solution, if you add dropwise sodium hydroxide, there will be formation of dirty green gelatinous precipitate. And from this very specific dirty green precipitate, you can identify it as ferrous hydroxide, and here also formation of sodium sulfate, but this sodium sulfate is colorless and it remains in solution. So here ferrous hydroxide precipitate can be easily identified. Similarly, if you add ammonium hydroxide solution to ferrous sulfate solution, also there will be formation of dirty green precipitate of ferrous hydroxide, and ammonium sulfate colorless remains in solution. Similarly, for ferric ion gives yellow color this to this pale yellow color solution, if you add sodium hydroxide solution dropwise, then there will be formation of reddish brown precipitate of ferric hydroxide, and from this reddish brown precipitate you can identify ferric ion. Similarly, for ammonium hydroxide also there will be formation of reddish brown precipitate. Now, copper ion solution, cupric ion copper 2 plus is blue color solution. To this blue color solution, if we add dropwise sodium hydroxide, there will be formation of copper hydroxide, which is pale blue precipitate, and from this pale blue precipitate we can identify copper hydroxide. Similarly, for ammonium hydroxide also, if you add dropwise, there will be formation of pale blue precipitate, and after precipitate formation, if you add excess of ammonium hydroxide, you will observe that this precipitate becomes soluble. More and more addition of ammonium hydroxide, that results the solution of the precipitate. Because there will be formation of, in presence of excess ammonium hydroxide, there will be formation of this complex ion. This is tetramine, as here 4 amine group, so this is tetramine copper hydroxide complex, and this complex ion is soluble in water, so this precipitate becomes soluble in presence of excess ammonium hydroxide, and also there will be water formation. Whereas in case of NaOH, after formation of precipitate, if you add excess NaOH, then there will be no reaction, that is, the precipitate remains intact. So, from the using the copper ion solution, we can differentiate the sodium hydroxide and ammonium hydroxide. For sodium hydroxide solution, excess of sodium hydroxide does not change the precipitate, whereas for ammonium hydroxide solution, excess of ammonium hydroxide, in presence of excess ammonium hydroxide, the precipitate becomes soluble. Now, zinc ion solution is colorless when you add dropwise sodium hydroxide. Previously, there is formation of white gelatinous precipitate of zinc hydroxide. Now, if you add excess NaOH, then this colorless precipitate becomes soluble due to formation of sodium zincate. This sodium zincate, this is a complex compound, and this compound is soluble in water, so the precipitate becomes soluble in presence of excess NaOH. These reactions are very much important. You have to memorize these reactions in their balanced form. Similarly, when in zinc solution ammonium hydroxide is added, first there will be formation of white gelatinous precipitate of zinc hydroxide, and in excess of ammonium hydroxide it becomes soluble. But here the ion or the compound formed, that is different from the compound formed using NaOH. Here the compound formed, that is tetramine zinc hydroxide, this is also soluble in water, so the precipitate becomes soluble in presence of excess ammonium hydroxide. So, for both the cases, for sodium hydroxide and for ammonium hydroxide, the precipitate becomes soluble, but the complex compound formed in both the cases are different. Now, lead ion, this is also colorless. If you add sodium hydroxide in lead solution, then there will be chalky white precipitate of lead hydroxide will be obtained, and you will get sodium nitrate that remains in solution. And in presence of excess NaOH, this chalky white precipitate becomes soluble due to formation of sodium plumbite. This is soluble, this remains in solution. But in case of ammonium hydroxide, the chalky white precipitate initially obtained, and if you add excess ammonium hydroxide, there will be no reaction. That is, from this reaction from the lead ion solution also we can differentiate sodium hydroxide and ammonium hydroxide. For excess of sodium hydroxide, the precipitate becomes soluble. For excess of ammonium hydroxide, the precipitate remains intact. Now to the ammonium solution, ammonium salt solution, if you add caustic soda solution, then there will be always evolution of ammonia gas with pungent smell. Say ammonium chloride reacts with NaOH, then there will be formation of sodium chloride salt, ammonia gas will be evolved and we get water. Now action of alkali on certain metals. There are certain metals which react with alkali like sodium hydroxide, zinc. When hot and concentrated caustic soda solution is added to zinc metal, this zinc metal becomes soluble due to formation of sodium zincate, and this is colorless. So we obtain colorless solution and there will be evolution of hydrogen. This is very much important. Similarly, when aluminium is allowed to react with hot and concentrated sodium hydroxide, there will be formation of sodium metaaluminate. It is also soluble, so we get colorless solution and hydrogen gas will be evolved. But when aluminium is allowed to react with fused sodium hydroxide, here hot and concentrated sodium hydroxide used, here fused sodium hydroxide used, then we get sodium aluminate. Instead of sodium metaaluminate, we get sodium aluminate. The formula is Na3AlO3 and hydrogen gas will be evolved. Similarly, when lead metal is allowed to react with hot and concentrated NaOH, then we get sodium plumbite. This is also colorless and it remains in solution and we get a hydrogen gas. So in all the cases we obtain colorless solution with evolution of hydrogen gas. That is, these metals are soluble in presence of hot and concentrated alkali. Now amphoteric oxides and hydroxides. We know most of the oxides or hydroxides, say alkali metal oxides or alkaline earth metal oxides, hydroxides like sodium oxide, sodium hydroxide, lithium oxide, lithium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, potassium oxide, magnesium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, all are basic. They can only react with acid. For example, sodium oxide reacts with HCl to form salt and water. So they have only the basic property. Whereas there are some oxides or hydroxides which have both the acidic as well as basic properties. Those are called amphoteric oxides or hydroxides. For example, zinc oxide, it can react with acid as well as it can react with base. Zinc oxide, when react with acid, it is acting as base. There will be formation of salt zinc chloride, and this is colorless salt and water. Also, zinc oxide can react with base NaOH. Here zinc oxide is acting as acid. Here will be formation of sodium zincate salt. It is also colorless salt, remains in solution and we get water. So zinc oxide has amphoteric behavior. Similarly, zinc hydroxide reacts with HCl to form zinc chloride, and zinc hydroxide reacts with NaOH to form sodium zincate. Another amphoteric oxide is alumina or aluminium oxide. Aluminium oxide reacts with NaOH, then it is acting as acid. There will be formation of sodium metaaluminate. This is colorless salt. and when alumina reacts with HCl, this is acting as base. Here the salt is aluminium chloride. This is also colorless soluble salt. Similarly, aluminium hydroxide reacts with NaOH to form sodium aluminate, metaaluminate, and reacts with HCl to form aluminium trichloride. So aluminium trihydroxide is also amphoteric hydroxide. Similarly, another amphoteric oxide is lead oxide. It reacts with NaOH acting as acid to form sodium plumbite. It can also react with acid acting as base to form lead chloride. Similarly, lead hydroxide also amphoteric oxide. It can react with NaOH to form sodium plumbite, and it can react with HCl to form lead chloride salt. So these are the amphoteric oxides, whereas the most of the oxides and hydroxides are basic in nature. Thank you.